Welcome to the United States. Welcome to the Circuit of the Americas. It's a sprint weekend here. Dry in the main, although a smattering of rain towards the end of the sprint. A sprint that this season we will actually complete, because last year we got the DNF for a failure. One of our rare failures, or rarer failures in season 1. We had just 3 DNFs last season. This season was an experience, and we turned them off from Belgium onwards, at least race-ending DNFs. And since then, 3 podiums. Not that we were in a podium scoring position in the other DNFs, to be fair, have to make that clear. United States Grand Prix is almost certainly not going to be a podium either. In either the sprint or the race, it is not a strong circuit for me, but fingers crossed we can get ourselves a decent result and some points to keep ticking over. Maybe finish the weekend ahead of Oscar Piastri on the Drivers' Championship side of things. If Fernando can lose some time to Charles, that would be great, so that Charles can regain second in the drivers and so that we can regain second in the constructors. That would be lovely. I'm thinking of taking the harder compound. I think actually now I've advanced the weekend, I can't do that. Alright, I should have probably taken the harder compound set for this Grand Prix weekend, but we shall deal with what we've got, which is the balanced one as ever. I very rarely, if even ever, remember to actually change it to the hard compound set for any given circuit, but fingers crossed we can do something. It's a fun circuit to drive, I'm just not very good at it, unfortunately, which is kind of par for the course for most circuits, really, isn't it? But regardless, let's see what we can do. I was going to say away from home. I'm back in FC mode. See what we can do at the Circuit of the Americas, and fingers crossed we'll get a result that will help Ferrari get second back in the Constructors' Championship at the very least. Drop the video a like if you're enjoying the content, of course. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and you won't miss out on any more. And hopefully it'll go well. I'm not going to be anywhere near the top, because I only did it on hards and worn hards at that, but 1,400 resource points added to the pot. Well, 400 at least. 1,400 now is the size of the pot. Sprint qualifying coming up. We're going to have to put some fresh parts in, though, because, well, at least a new gearbox, because it completely and utterly lost 4th gear. So I'm going to put some significantly fresher bits in, probably for every session that actually means something outside of practice for the rest of the season. And then hopefully we can maximise our potential results. Probably going to need new control electronics, probably going to need a new energy store at some point between now and the end of the season. In fact, definitely going to need them before that, between now and the end of the season. But at the minute, we're all right to head into sprint qualifying with everything as is. Don't believe there's anything I can put on. Oh no, I do have the opportunity. Okay, DRS. DRS in time for Las Vegas would be bloody great, actually, if you can sort that out. Department capacity. Charles has shown no interest in redoing that, so I'll do it for him then, shall I? And I don't have the resource points to do anything else. So, there you go. Car is improving it further still, albeit slowly. As the car gets better and better, and our results seem to get better and better, I am wondering whether we should stay at Ferrari, you know. A mid-31 would be fine. A 31.8 is probably going to be good enough to get us through to Q2. 9th. That's definitely good enough. SQ2, I suppose, isn't it? Because it's the sprint qualifying. But 9th will do for now. Literally the exact same split for the second sector with P11. We do love a P11, don't we? Well, I don't know whether we love it, but certainly it's our most qualified in position. Can we?
We've dropped to P15.
Not be P11. I need a... it's not a great final turn. I need a low 31. It's a 31.6. It's a mid 31. It's probably going to be P11, isn't it? Oh! P9, we are through to SQ3. Look at us go, making it through to a 3rd qualifying session again, albeit probably by the skin of my teeth. Did Charles make it through? I presume so. Indeed he did. I'm still 3/10 off him, but we are through. George Russell and Oscar Piastri are out. The Hasses continually very strong. Right. Here goes nothing. Wide at 1 is a good start. Didn't see what the sector time was coming through the first sector. A bit late putting the DRS on there at the moment. Two tenths down on Max in P6 through the second sector. I feel like I've been gaining on the Aston Martin in front through the lap, but he's going to be probably on worn tyres that are doing their second run in this session. So I don't envisage anybody that actually did an earlier run, which is everyone, improving, to be honest. I think it was better than P10, but not by much. Would anybody like 9th position? Because apparently that's where we're locked to today. Normally it's 11th, today it's 9th. Unfortunately, that would not be points in the sprint, because it's only the top 8 that get points in the sprint. We missed out on 8th by 1/100th of a second. Still about 3 to 3.5 tenths slower than my teammate, and the Hasses are gone. 3 milliseconds between Fernando and Carlos Sainz, though. The Haas, or the Aston Martin, is apparently the car to be in. And in chronological order, they are both my most previous raced for teams, aren't they? Haas, season 1 of this save. Aston Martin, the save we did at the end of F1 23. So, again, I appear to be the wrong team. Right, tyres are suitably not warmed up at all, which is great. Some tracks it's really quite hard to warm your tyres up over the course of the formation lap.
Okay,
good starting position though for the sprint. We're on the outside of 1, which is actually not a bad position to be, because then you're on the inside of 2. And people do tend to get caught up on the apex of 1. So starting on the right hand side of the grid on an odd numbered position hopefully will be a good thing for us. Hamilton didn't get a great start. I didn't get a great start. Try and get around the outside of Lewis. Maybe we could think about sneaking around the outside of Lando here. To then have the inside. Not quite. Lando's going to force me out. But we've made a position. We're up into the points for the time being in the sprint race. It's a good start. And we just need to keep it going for another 19 laps. Easier as ever said than done. But because our energy store is worn now, as we mentioned on the way into the race weekend, I can only hold a maximum of 95% battery capacity, not 100. Thankfully, 95% is still more than enough, especially considering we have quite high regen on under engine braking. We should be competitive enough here, I think, to be challenging for points in both the main race and this sprint race. Last year we had a good old battle with Carlos Sainz until the car died. This year I don't think we're going to get anywhere near Carlos Sainz, because he's in those monstrous Haas cars, which we were in last year. It's typical, isn't it? You leave to come to Ferrari, and then the car you were in suddenly becomes the one that's the best on the grid. Everyone's very evenly matched for pace right now in this Sprint Grand Prix. But no, as there's been many changes of position at all since the start. Not seen anyone really make a move on anyone else yet. Bit DRS trainee on lap 3 of 19, about to start lap 4 of 19. Carlos Sainz, though, sets the fastest lap of the sprint race as he crosses the line, out in P1. It's just kind of 2 DRS trains at the minute, and no one else is really able to do anything about it. Might be a pretty actionless sprint race, this, unless something dramatic happens with the rain later. If I were to use all my battery down that straight, I could probably have a crack at Lando, but then I would then need that battery again to defend, and probably not be able to do so. Tyre wear was exactly as predicted in the practice programme, so I don't really have an advantage there on this particular race weekend like we have done at a couple of other tracks recently. We've pulled away from Checo though. You'll notice the gap behind Lewis is 1.6 seconds. 2.4 for us back to him. So we've got the pace to stick with the front group and beat one of the Red Bulls. But at the minute, unless I drain all of my ERS, I'm not getting any positions here. But maybe I should. Maybe we just throw caution to the wind and try and make a position. So as we start lap 7, we've officially been dropped by those in front, are about to get taken by Lewis Hamilton and fall out of the sprint points paying positions. Now, that's only because we're vulnerable with DRS to Lewis that he's been able to get us. We were very comfortable up until that point. And it just goes to show how important DRS is around this circuit to your overall lap time. Now, maybe, because we feel like we're very much comparable to Lewis Hamilton pace-wise, maybe he can drag us back to that group in front. Tsunoda's now in front of Perez behind as Checo continues to underperform in the sister Red Bull. Maybe Lewis can help us gain some time back on the front few, and there might yet be some more points in this for us than perhaps just the one that I'll try and take off Lewis Hamilton at the very death. Other than first to second and third to fourth, no changes in the order in the top points paying positions and minimal changes elsewhere. Yuki's up 3, which is great for him, but no one's really doing anything in this sprint race so far. It's been not very action-filled, unfortunately. Just means that you guys will hopefully have more to enjoy during the main race, because there'll be more strategy involved. Undercuts, overcuts, different tyre compounds. But in this sprint, it is, at least for me driving right now, a bit of a ball fest at the moment. Oh, well there goes the plan of following Lewis Hamilton to the gaggle in front, because now he's retired. Well, we'll definitely get a point, but I'm going to be faster than Yuki Tsunoda, and I'm definitely slower than those in front. In fact, is there multiple cars retiring here?
Okay, gap to the car.
I'm not sure.
3.2
Lewis
seconds.
is out though, and that almost certainly then, barring any drama with the rain, is going to be all the action you'll see from this sprint race. Lap 8 of 19 has just begun. Gaps behind will get bigger, gaps in front will get bigger. Just wait for the rain. Annoyingly, even though we're now guaranteed a point, we definitely won't get any more. Thanks, Lewis. Take those numbers back a decimal place, and that's what we're wearing at. So just under 2%, although it's obviously on a third race fuel. So at the beginning of the Grand Prix, we will wear tyres significantly more so. But for an end of race stint on a medium set, we'll go just under 2% a lap on the rears and just over 1.5% on the fronts. So that's good information to factor in for the full Grand Prix as well as the fuel. It's probably going to be a medium soft though. I imagine they'll probably look to do a one-stop BAI. Okay, that was weird. But I'm pretty sure that we'll be forced into a 2-stop. It might be a case of staying out for the 1-stop, because even running on warm tyres, you lose less time comparatively to actually making the extra stop. The tyres are going to wear quite highly here. I think we probably will regret not going for the harder tyre compounds option.
We're catching the car ahead. Well done, but be aware these tyres need to get us to the end of this
I'm not
race.
though. I just made a horrible mistake on that lap. It's good data filling though. This is like an elongated practice session as it happens now. That front train is very much still just stuck together though, isn't it? Sainz in front can't pull away from anyone. No one's really making any moves on anyone else because they've all got DRS on each other. It's about a half a second gap between each car, and it's status quo. In the full race, we're going to have to make sure that we make minimal mistakes to ensure that we keep DRS on the cars in front, because you can clearly see the difference that DRS makes. We were lapping quite comfortably with Norris and Verstappen and Co in front until we made the mistake, fell out of DRS range, and now we've fallen 7 seconds behind over the course of probably about 7 or 8 laps. So we very much need to stay in DRS range of cars around us in the full Grand Prix to ensure that we stand a good chance of a best possible finish. The gaps behind are lowering now as my rear tyres starting to get quite worn, losing traction quite a bit more, and we're not able to be as competitive on pace as we were earlier in the stint either, annoyingly. So Checo is closing. Tsunoda has closed with him because obviously he's being dragged along by the Red Bull. Red Bull evidently a little bit kinder on its tyres than we are right now, which is good news for them and bad news for me. There's still 7 laps to go here, so our current one single World Championship point might actually be under a bit of threat. Not sure what's going to happen with the rain forecast at the end of the race. There's still barely a cloud in the sky, so if the rain does hit before the end of the sprint race, it might not hit hard enough, or quickly enough. That bit gets me every bloody lap. I cannot take that properly without losing traction when they absolutely fly around it with their throttle pinned. That's now Perez within DRS range of me. Sick, mate. That's the sort of mistake that cost me DRS on those in front in the first place. Now it's going to cost me DRS on the other way to those behind me now. As we were saying about the weather, the rain might not come at all, or it might come late enough that we don't need to change tyres at all before the end. Might be a case of just tiptoeing home with 1 or 2 laps to go on wet weather tyres. Or dry weather tyres, sorry, in the wet. They gained 2.5. He just gained 3/10 on me through that one section. I don't know how the AI is so strong through that little bit. I just quite simply cannot maintain traction at the level that they can through that double left-hander. Just impossible. Now my 1 World Championship point is very much under threat, because I'm just getting slower and slower here because my tyres are just dying, evidently. Yellow flag in front, that's Lando Norris retiring from the race. Well, rephrase then, now my 2 World Championship points are under threat. With Lando retiring, that's going to mean that we're into P7 and are now eligible for 2 World Championship points, which at this stage would put me level with Oscar Piastri. But I have just no traction right now, so it's only a matter of time before Sergio Perez zips past me and leaves me in his dust, I think. Checo's going to try and take me the same way that Lewis Hamilton did. Checo is going to take me the same way that Lewis Hamilton did. And right now I've 0 confidence in the rear end of this car, so I don't think I'm going to be able to stick with him. I hope I can. I'll do everything in my power to do so. It's this bit, from here onwards, they just put the power down around that left-hander almost flat. And it feels like I have to be at like 70 to 80% throttle to even stand a chance of not losing the rear end.
Use overtake.
With ERS and DRS, we are going to be able to stick with Checo, I hope. And then on lap 19, we will look to make a move here to get those 2 World Championship points back again. But again, I'm going to have to try and remain as mistake-free as possible to ensure that we don't lose DRS on Checo, because if I do, he's gone. Every highlight you see at the minute sees my rear end step on me at least once somewhere. So as we start the final sprint lap, rather evidently the rain hasn't arrived, and we're now hoping to try and stick with Sergio Perez through this first sector to then take him with all of my battery and DRS, if I can stay within DRS range of him, down the back straight. Evidently that Red Bull is still getting away quite quickly. Evidently my rear tyres are still struggling to live with the demand of this first sector and any real hard aero demand part of the circuit. And I think I might have just fallen out of DRS range there. We definitely did. Mainly because of the wear of the rear tyres, so I'm going to just drain my battery now and hope that it's enough to try and close him. We've only used 1.2 laps worth of extra fuel rather than the 2 laps we added in. So I'm going to have to go for it. No, I'm too far back. I'm just quite simply too far back. So we can definitely run slightly less fuel in the main Grand Prix. I really want these 2 World Championship points, but I just don't have the traction anywhere, evidently, to have a lunge at Checo. I'm going to have to try and use my battery as best I can around 19. Otherwise it steps on me to try and get him into 20. It's not going to happen. Sergio Perez is going to finish in P7 here. And we will take 1 World Championship point. And that's purely the tyre wear that's done that to us there. The lack of rear traction was a real struggle in the final third, really, of that sprint race. Ricciardo gets driver of the day here on the Saturday. We will now head into qualifying later in the Saturday for the full Grand Prix on the Sunday. And hopefully, he says,
so that wraps up
get ourselves more points than that. Kevin actually got the win at the end. Sainz was in front early doors, but Carlos was caught by his teammate and passed. Kevin Magnussen gets a race win, albeit sprint only. Really what they're 2 points, because if you look at the standings, I am now a single point behind Oscar Piastri. 2-3. Look at that. Lance Stroll 104, us 105, Piastri 106, Lewis 113. So Carlos Sainz is not going to be catchable because he's going to finish ahead of us every race now. But I'd like to finish ahead of Hamilton and Piastri. But now my threat is Lance Stroll behind because he just got a P3 there. And that Aston Martin is going to be very strong for the rest of the season. There's still a lot to fight for personally. And obviously we want to upgrade the car as best we can between now and the end of the season to stand a chance of staying at a competitive Ferrari. But now we have to try and qualify better than P9 in full qualifying, but now there'll be more strategy involved and I can get off worn tyres, pit and put fresher tyres on and hopefully work it to my advantage. That's the plan anyway. Deep in there, that's annoying. Who's ready for a P9 in Q1? SQ1, 2 and 3 were all 9th position. 31.8 puts me, I don't think, P9. Oh, geez, P15. We are through to the next round of qualifying, but whoo, that is skin of your teeth stuff, as we really only ever seem to do. We're never really comfortable, are we, at all? 31 flat from Charles. Mine was a 31.8. I'm 8/10 off my teammate there. We have been about 3/10 off the pace of Charles throughout the course of the weekend so far, so that is a surprise. And it really was skin of your teeth stuff. 5 milliseconds faster than Alex Albon in P16. We're going to have to put together a much better performance in Q2. Q2 lap about to end. Struggling for traction around the final corner as ever. A 31.2. That should be us through to Q3, actually, I think. Famous last words, it's P11. How familiar. Honestly, I'm getting a bit bored of qualifying in 11th. In full qualifying. I was 2/10 or a 10.5 at least away from getting through, so no complaints really. Charles apparently was able to put it P1, but I don't know as everybody in the top few went for a second run. Lewis is out though. The Mercedes is just not quite on the pace, is it? Lewis, I imagine, is taking a grid penalty as well because of his retirement in the sprint. But we will start P11. It means we save a set of soft tyres. So that could come to our aid in the full race if there's a safety car at some point, or even just strategically if tyre wear isn't quite good enough. But we've qualified well enough again that it seems ill-advised to take replacement parts at this point now. I'm kind of waiting for me to qualify like 16th, or not to get out of Q1, basically. If I don't get out of Q1 anywhere, then we'll take all the fresh parts. But at the minute, qualifying well enough that I don't really want to take the grid pen. Weather is very consistent throughout the session. 56 laps of the United States Grand Prix to come. Was Charles then able to actually turn that fastest time from Q2 into a fastest time in Q3? No, not at all. It's the Haas on pole and Fernando Alonso in second, a 1:30 flat from Carlos Sainz there in Q3. And half a second back to Verstappen in P4. Charles is 8/10 back in P6. Any pens anywhere? Yes. Russell's taken a penalty. I'm starting 9th when I qualified 11th, so Russell pen. Evidently both Mercedes taking a penalty. Who else has taken a penalty there? And Gasly too. And Norris. Russell, Gasly, Norris and Hamilton all taking penalties. So we will start where we started the sprint race in P9, which is unexpected. Right, it reckons that there's not much difference at all between a 2-stop and a 1-stop. I feel like I'm probably going to be quicker with a 2-stop because of my tyre wear and the mistakes I was making in the latter stages of the sprint race. What is everyone else on? Everyone else is on mediums. Quite literally, everyone else is on mediums. So we will start on the medium tyre, but we will look to end the race on the softs and see if we can't maybe be a bit better with a 2-stop. I mean, there's barely anything in it. We used about 1.3 laps worth of extra fuel in the sprint, which extrapolate out 3.9 laps worth of extra fuel here. It's offering me 5.1 laps worth of extra fuel, so I will put 4.3 laps worth of extra fuel in. That should be enough to get us to the end, and although that was on the mediums, we are going to be running the softs at the end where we'll use more fuel. I'll put 4.5 laps worth of extra fuel in. Should be enough to get us to the end. We're basically running the alternate strategy in a slightly different order, so it's alternate plus for us. Mediums to hards to softs. The 2-stop, hopefully, will be the quickest way for us to the end and the best way for us to finish as strongly as possible. We hope. Tyres are a little warmer than they were at the beginning of the sprint, but not by more than a matter of a few degrees. Not as good a parking there as we had in the sprint. Hopefully we have a better finish though. Starting 9th, we finished 8th in the sprint. Starting 9th, we will finish insert a number in this Grand Prix. Oh my god, the start from Ricciardo was outrageous. Again, going to try and hang it around the outside here. Make a position or two if we can. Up to P7. It's Sergio Perez that's right with me now. That was the case last time as well, I think. Right, it's going to be difficult with a much heavier car to drive as aggressively as we did in the sprint in the early stages. But now it's concentration time. It's don't lose DRS time. That's what killed me in the last race, was all the mistakes made on warm tyres. So in the second half of each stint, we're really going to have to make sure that we do everything we can to keep the tyres intact and to make as few mistakes as possible to ensure that we get the best possible finish. P7 was on the cards for us in the sprint, but I threw it away. Although, to be fair, it was only thanks to the retirement of Lando Norris. I think Lewis Hamilton we would have gotten regardless. But Lewis retired too, obviously, from the sprint. So we could maybe have finished in P9 or 10 in the sprint. As long as we get points here, I think it's an achievement. COTA's not a great track for me, as you've quite clearly been able to see over the years. We'll do what we can. We're still in DRS range for now, and hopefully that lasts as long as possible, but I'm expecting there to be a similar story to the beginning of the sprint race, where there's a lot of DRS trains and not much movement. It'll be around the pit stops that we're able to make our moves with undercuts, etc. Charlotte's having a look at Kevin into turn 1. K-Mag has been holding up this train so far here. Alonso and Sainz are disappearing again. They battled it out for the fight for the win in Singapore last time out. We were able to come home P3 on that day. That is not happening today, not unless there are multiple retirements. So purple sector 1 somehow, but it can't be by much. Just so strong through there. God damn. Still within DRS range, but struggling, if in all honesty, to hang on to the back of the group in front at the minute. That situation is kind of similar to the sprint though, with the car right behind me clinging on, and then there's a bit of a gap back to the next group. K-Mag's having a go back at Charles Leclerc here. And the Haas looks like it's going to get through on the Ferrari. Quite the battle going on for the podium here. To be fair, just as there was in Singapore, it's just that I'm not at the front of the train this time, whereas previously I was. If we're still in DRS towards the end of the stint, then I will look to extend this medium stint as long as we can, and maybe switch to the 1 stop. Because quite frankly, just as much DRS as possible for as long as possible in this race is the quickest way to the end, regardless of tyre strategy. Right, the play now that they've pulled out DRS range on me is probably let Checo overtake me as soon as possible and cling on to him and close back up. He's going to take me here. I'm not going to fight it. Because look at that gap open up already. 1.7 seconds now. Come on, Checo.
Okay,
Let's close the gap, please. Work with me here. Otherwise, we're both going to get cut adrift. It took 1 loss of traction around turn 1. And that cost me DRS. That's all it took. Just the 1 loss of traction in 7 laps. If I overtake Checo, we just fall further behind. Rephrase, we fall further behind quicker. We are falling further behind regardless behind Sergio. But if I was the lead car of the two of us, the gap would be growing even quicker. The gap behind is really comfortable. But they're just faster than me. I've got no answer to those top 7 cars today. And you can see by the fact that the 2 Mercedes and Piastri, and Norris. Lando Norris is still bloody last. Lando's last, Lewis is 19th, and George is 17th. The DRS train is so strong here that those really fast cars just can't make it back through the pack. Oh man, this is a real struggle this weekend, but at least we're getting points at present, and we got a point in the sprint as well, and it's as good as we can ask for at the minute. Top 8 again seems like the best plan of action, or the best end result for us. So on lap 19, we were hoping to extend our medium stint a little bit to give ourselves the option of a 1 stop. We still kind of do have that option of a 1 stop because the hard tyres will take us to the end, but with really minimal grip. So I think we've forced into a 2 stop here purely because the tyre wear is so painful. Hopefully, thankfully it was a decent stop at least. We don't lose any time there. But now we're going to come out right with this double train here. And hopefully the new tyres will help us get through this. But Lando and Hamilton are still stuck back here in 17th and 18th. The DRS train effect is massive. We're expecting everybody on those 1 stops to box basically 25-ish. Could take me to the end. There's a yellow flag in that front group now. Someone's retiring, which is going to earn us an extra position.
Okay, this isn't
Looks
your
like it's
group.
Sergio Perez.
Have a
It is
finish
indeed
yet.
Sergio
Don't waste
Perez.
time fighting. Bring your tyres in gently and let's go for it.
Bring your tyres in gently. Yeah, like I've got a chance to do that. Checo's out, unless he's got a puncture. He is seemingly continuing on at the minute. So maybe Sergio Perez has a puncture there. Let's have a look. No, that's definitely not a puncture. Or at least maybe something in the engine bay has punctured because there's a lot of smoke coming out there. So not a puncture for Checo. A genuine retirement. He is out. That's an extra position for us.
Hey, this is not your
To the minute I am more than glad to take.
Don't waste time.
It's been a very painful Grand Prix weekend so far. I can't really afford to get held up too much by this lot in front. But I've got a horrible feeling we are going to get held up by lots of traffic here, which is going to ruin any chance of undercutting towards that front group again. We were about 4.7 seconds behind Charles Leclerc, who's now fallen through that front group, and he too is dropping like we are, or were.
Bring your tyres in gently and let's go for it.
No one else, I'm not expecting any other boxes until lap 23 or 4. I'm just going to have to get very aggressive whilst trying to lose as little time as possible. Go for it on Lando, losing as little time as possible. And now we're just going to have to pick them off one by one. And hopefully, A, the hards will last till the end, which I don't think they will. Oh God, come on, Ches. Aero wash is a real thing through the first sector, isn't it? Hopefully the hards last to the end, which I don't think they will. We might have a free pit stop for the softs by the time that soft stop comes around, currently on lap 42. Even then, we might want to extend the hard stint as best as we possibly can, because the softs are going to die very, very, very quickly. I don't really think the softs have got more than 10 laps in them, really. So I'm going to have to extend this stint if I want to get anywhere at the end on those soft tyres. Try and take Lewis around the outside here. Zhou Guan Yu's very slow. We will take Lewis around the outside here. Lost a bit of time there, but not a massive amount. I could make a lunge up the inside of Zhou here if I hadn't had that loss of traction. Have been able to make the move stick, so we passed Zhou Guan Yu as well. That's 15th now. Hard tyres aren't great around this circuit. They just last quite well. But the actual grip they offer isn't superb. Still no other pits or pitters, but we didn't expect that, as we say. Not till, whoa, steady. Case in point about the hard tyre not being very grippy. Not expecting any stoppers for another couple of laps. And then we're just going to grind this out. It's been a Grand Prix that, for those that are watching live, has basically been me whinging. Unfortunately. For you on YouTube, less whinging because Chris can edit it out. But as a result, it means there's probably been less highlights for you to watch, I'm afraid. I apologise. At least it's been a sprint weekend, so the video length should be still long enough. We have still had points. It's not been a terrible end result weekend, and it won't be a terrible end result weekend. Just the manner in which that result is coming about. Pretty soul destroying at the minute. This is more like the beginning of the season Ferrari than the mid to last third of the season Ferrari we've become accustomed to in the past 5 races or so. George Russell quite comfortably dealt with, but that was more of a mini train behind. This is now a giant train. This is a cargo train. That was behind was a consumer passenger train. This is a cargo train. You know those ones that go on for miles and miles and miles, and you sat at the stop at the crossing for like 10 minutes waiting for it all to disappear through before you can push through on the road. We're in one of those now. Still making positions relatively comfortably though. Tyre wear, I think, is doing okay. About 1% a lap. They will be very dead by the end of the race. Little cut back, switch back on the Williams, and we're going to be up to P12. Easily done. I don't know if we're really losing that much time here. It's just not been a free air stint to keep the gap to Leclerc and then the little group in front of him as minimal as possible. Again, we're going to go for that Fernando Alonso-esque dive in here. Let's us past Piastri once more. Very nearly back in the points already after just 4 laps since the stop. That happens every race. This Ferrari is the most unreliable shitbox you've ever seen in your life. Even if it's a quick car, I still feel like potentially if we're going to turn the failures back on again for next season, I still feel like moving teams and try to go around the outside here, moving teams and going to someone that is even similarly paced would be better, because we stand the chance of finishing races better than we do at Ferrari. Durability in the department is getting better, but that doesn't seem to be having any sort of say on durability actually in the races. The car is still having just as many failures as it did at the beginning of season 1, I imagine, if not more so, weirdly. I kind of want to be back at Haas. I genuinely feel like we could have challenged for the championship at Haas this season. Which is really weird to say at the end of season 2. Comfortably back in the points now. I'm going to make another position here, try and box Nico in a little bit. He's going to want to drift left if he can, but we're going to not allow him to do that by just positioning our car well enough.
Hit the target. Nice work.
This is going to be us back up to P7 before anyone else has boxed. And comfortably, so I might be able to take both of them here with a lunge. Hi. They won't have seen me coming there because of the angle of the mirrors, but we got the job done. Well, we're back where we were then. Gap to Charles Leclerc, 23 seconds. We've really scythed our way through that traffic. I guess the hope is that the other AI, when they box, hopefully those in front box sooner than those behind. They get in that train and they have just as much trouble coming through it as Lando and Lewis have had. And we gain positions, but I think there's probably a free pit stop for those in front now to those behind, unfortunately. So I don't know if we're going to get that lucky. At the minute, seemingly guaranteed a P7 even with our extra pit stop. But if we can make it further forward, we shall wait and see. There you go. All but the other Haas and Aston in on 25, meaning that other Haas and Aston will be in on 26. Can we get ourselves back within DRS range of our teammate? Doesn't look like it's going to be the case. Trying desperately to catch as he comes out of the pits now. We might actually be able to get ourselves next to Charles. We have done. Give him a wide berth on the apex so he doesn't run into me. Well, we're P6 now, but he's going to have much fresher tyres than me. So for the time being, we're up a position, but we're still going to see those gaps in front continue to grow now. And then Charles will just get past me in a matter of 2 laps or so. And then I think that it will be another very lonely middle stint before we then have a free pit stop later to box for set of softs to get a extra point for the fastest lap of the race and a P7 finish. There genuinely might now be a cut to the end of the race where I'm crossing the line in P7 with soft tyres and a fastest lap. Because I don't envisage anything else happening. A safety car would really mix things up, but I don't have any other tyres to go to now. That's the other Haas and Aston in the box now. We might be able to get alongside them. No, look, you can see them coming out at the top of the hill. So they're going to be further ahead than ourselves or Charles. Closer to us than the previous group that was there, but still leaving Charles some extra space on the apex. Still too far away for us to be able to get there. Now everyone behind is boxing as well, so we'll have that free pit stop window for the rest of the Grand Prix. It will be P7 unless something drastic happens between now and the end of the race in 30 laps time. Probably just going to let Charles go here because I'm only going to end up ruining his race if I get in the way too much. So just go for it, Charles. I'm not going to fight it. Team orders. Red flag. 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 We're on a different strategy. He's P6 and aiming to maybe be able to make it slightly higher. He has a chance to, I definitely don't. One thing I have noticed is that Lewis and Lando, rather dramatically, have made their way through that pack. As some teams sent drivers on for another lap, just like Haas and Aston Martin did. Lewis and Lando and Oscar Piastri are right there now, and I think they're probably going to gain on me. So we might not actually have that free pit stop a little bit later in the race, because Hamilton and the McLarens, once they get past Yuki Tsunoda,
Right, let's not stay behind this car for
will
too long.
probably
We need to get past.
close on me. But hopefully not by enough that we can't overturn that gap with a fresh set of soft tyres at the end of the race. Or if I feel like it's not worth it, or I'm not going to get that time back again, we just stay out on this hard set to the end and try our best to manage the gap, which at the minute is sizable and will continue to be whilst we're getting dragged away by Charles Leclerc, which thankfully for the time being at least I'm able to hang on to the back of him, but it is difficult. I'm having to use a lot of battery to do so. It's only a matter of time before Charles drops me, but whilst he drags me along in the short term, I'm very, very thankful for it. Two Ferrari teammates working together for the betterment of the team. Hot lap in the first sector is definitely keeping us more competitive. Just a little... Oh, don't go defensive, Charles. We're trying to catch those in front of me. I'm working with you here, pal. Kevin and Lance in 4th and 5th are having a little bit of a scrap. And the gap was coming down until Charles decided he wanted to try and defend thin air there. The gap to Lewis is coming down slightly now that he's past Yuki Tsunoda. Lando is about to get past Yuki as well in the not too distant future, as you can see behind on the Delta, top left. As soon as I lose DRS to Charles Leclerc, those behind are going to come and get me. So it's going to be difficult to finish in front of them with a one stop. I might have to pull the trigger for the two stops with 100% definite is going to happen, rather than me hoping to be able to get to the end with this hard set. The longer we're behind Charles, the better. But the longer the laps go on, the less likely it is that I'm able to stick behind him because of mistakes like that, and now I'm out of DRS range. That's the thing. So all it takes is that one little loss of traction, especially at that part of the circuit, and I lose so much time. I'll try and gain back up, being an overtake and hot lap. But I think that might be me now, slowly but surely, over the course of the next 20 odd laps, falling back into the clutches of Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton. We will have to call the switch to soft tyres just right to ensure that we don't leave it too late, that we can't claw back the time that we've lost, and don't do it too early so that the soft tyres don't last long enough and we end up getting caught again anyway. The plan was to box on 42 for that soft set. At the minute, that soft set will only really last about 10 laps, I think, so I'm hoping to last until about 46. But I don't know if I'm going to have that luxury because of the lack of competitiveness in the car and with the loss of DRS now. It's going to be touch and go as to whether we can or cannot finish P7. I have, though. Oh, until the bloody loss of traction there again! I have been able to get myself back in DRS range of Charles Leclerc, which is massive. That will really, really help. Charles will be getting 8 points for finishing in 6th. I currently will be getting 4 for finishing in 7th. So the team are getting 12. Now, if I overtake Charles at some point between now and the end of the race, I benefit by getting 8 points and he gets 6. But the team don't actually earn any extra points. However, if I sacrifice my own attempt to get ahead of Charles and get 2 extra points, I can, for the team, box and get that 1 extra point for the team via the fastest lap. So I would not get as many points as I personally could, but the team would gain 1 more. And Charles has done such a great job of dragging me along here and keeping me very much out of harm's way of those behind, that I think it's only fair that we let him have the higher finishing position and that he gets those 8 points in his fight for second in the drivers, and that I take the hit personally, but the team gets the extra jump. So my plan currently is definitely to 2-stop. For the benefit of the team, we are doing it for Ferrari today. So we're going to box this lap for the softs, lap 45. He reckons I'll come out in about 11th, which is behind Yuki Tsunoda, but ahead of George Russell. So between the dark blue dot and the second turquoisey dot, effectively. That's if it's a quick pit stop.
There seems to have been a problem attaching the left front wheel. We need to try and put that behind.
Which is not, because of course it's not, because Ferrari. So I'm doing this for the team, purposefully giving myself a worse finish, points tally wise, so that the team get more points for the constructors. And in doing so, they let me down again. Thankfully, we'll absolutely have the pace here now to not have to worry about losing the position, but by helping Ferrari don't do their best in helping me in return. But these soft tyres will be very worn by the end of the race, but they'll be very quick now. I'm going for the fastest lap point, fastest middle sector of the race, and I didn't even use my battery down the straight. I think the fastest lap should be the shoe-in, especially if I put it in hot lap for the next lap, for the whole lap, with these new tyres. And we should hopefully be within DRS range of Lewis by the end of the first sector as well, so that we can use DRS down the back straight and hopefully breeze past these two purple sectors. And now we'll use our battery and be in hot lap for the remainder of this lap. Just have to hope that they don't get in the way in front. They shouldn't, but they might do. Regardless, I don't think anyone else is going to take the fastest lap point away from me, even if I do get held up here and then set it a little bit later and it's a little bit slower. There's a purple first sector. Here is me definitely getting held up now at this part of the track. But we should still be able to take the fastest lap point away from currently Carlos Sainz, I think, has it, or Lance Stroll, one of the two. That's Lewis dealt with, just with a little switchback. And now we'll get Lando too. Thank you, sir. Bye. I'm just going to try and disappear into the distance in front of them. 19.9 seconds to Charles. That's not going to get overturned in the next 9.5 laps. But I'm going to gap those behind very comfortably now for the next 4 or 5 laps at least, until these soft tyres have been through their best. And hopefully we'll be able to hold on for a P7 with fastest lap, which is going to come in just 1 corner's time. Even with the hold up through the first sector, we set a purple first sector. Even with a hold up into the start of the second sector, we set a purple second sector. And without the hold up in the third sector, I actually didn't go purple. So clearly the slipstream was better than no slipstream, even though they held me up and got in the way. 2 seconds the gap behind, 18 seconds the gap in front. Let's see what it's like at the end of the race. Another purple first sector, even on medium, although I guess this is without the hold up now, isn't it? So I'll whack it back in hot lap. Maybe we can extend the fastest lap gap again. Although I won't have DRS down this straight now, so certainly there won't be a purple second sector. I mean, I'm trying to catch Charles. The gap is still coming down, but now we're over 20% on the rears. Even if we do continue to close, it's just going to be by a lessening and lessening margin each lap. To be fair, given my lack of ability, just lack of talent at this circuit, a P8 in the sprint and a P7 in the main race is still actually something I'm quite happy with. We weren't contemplating being this far up. To be fair, if Lewis, Lando and George hadn't gone to the back with their penalties, maybe we wouldn't have finished as high as we are. I wish I'd known about the hot lap in the first sector trick earlier in the race though, because maybe that would have helped us have an even better finish, but regardless, I'm still pleased with the result we're going to get here. It's good for the team, albeit actually, unfortunately, with an Aston Martin in first and fifth, they're going to dramatically build the gap over us in the constructors. Hopefully at Mexico we can claw it back again. Carlos Sainz is going to continually rage on. We're going to gain some points, even more so on Lewis Hamilton though. We will overtake Oscar Piastri in the Drivers' Championship as well. So we're going to be gaining positions in the championship, but with Lance now seemingly challenging for a podium or at least the top 5, presumably in every race for the remainder of the season, I don't know as we're going to stand a chance of getting any higher than 8th in the drivers. But Las Vegas should be good for us. Qatar's going to be pretty brutal, but Abu Dhabi could be good for us as well. Portimao is the unknown at the moment, having not driven there on this game yet. But at least it's not Brazil with the Super AI OP or Super OP AI. So we should be able to ram Portimao at AI level 105 like we have done every other circuit, apart from Bahrain. I think we dropped it to 103 or 104 there as well, didn't we? Bahrain and Brazil seem to be standouts for the AI being just too good in every corner. Other circuits, the AI seem to be too overpowered at some corners, but you're able to manage it with strategy and battery and all sorts. At least, given my current talent level at the game anyway. We might do that in Mexico, we might do that somewhere else. It's always difficult whether to know to take the engine penalties at tracks that you're good at, so you can make that time back again, or you feel like you stand a better chance of making that time back again, or at a track that you're bad at, so that you're not costing yourself the potential of a decent finish by taking the engine penalties. I'll probably take it.
There's a gap of around 10 seconds.
I'll probably take them in Mexico. I'm not going to flash back there because it's the final lap, so I don't need to. I'll probably take the engine penalties in Mexico, to be honest. In the next round, it's a track that I enjoy, and with the extra long straight, I'm probably going to need a lot of battery with AI straight line speed there, so fresh control electronics and certainly a fresh energy store would probably be most beneficial there, or Vegas. Vegas is a track where I feel like I drive it quite well. I don't know how competitive I am compared to the AI at Vegas with this current Ferrari, but I feel like I'd be able to maximise the finish in Mexico with grid penalties more so than Vegas with grid penalties. So Fernando Alonso wins this particular Grand Prix, which means that Carlos Sainz finishes P2, it's then Verstappen P3, Kevin Magnussen P4, Lance Stroll P5, my teammate P6, and getting the extra point for Ferrari in the constructors fight, which could be invaluable coming into the season considering Aston Martin at the moment are scoring more points than us, will be P7. We, I think, maximised the weekend with the limitations of the car and my ability and my talent levels, I think. Some tracks we're good at, some tracks we're not. You know that this one is not a strong one for me. It's always been the case in career mode, was the case in Creator Series as well.
A winner
But Mexico is one that I like. Well, not that I dislike driving that track at COTA. It's just so painful at parts.
Well, that was certainly
well, I get 8 points for the weekend. Charles gets 12 points for the weekend. But unfortunately, as you can see, Fernando Alonso gets 30 and Lance Stroll gets 16. So in the standings now, in the Constructors, we are 30 points behind Aston Martin, which is painful considering we were second just 2 rounds of the championship ago. McLaren considerably back though, and they're not a threat now, neither are Mercedes. I'm up to 10th in the drivers. We've managed to overtake Oscar Piastri with 5 points ahead of him now, but Lance Stroll keeps eking away from me further and further. 2 points to gap now. He's overtaken me with this particular round of the championship. Lewis is now very much within touching distance with his poor finishes in this round of the championship. Checo's actually maybe catchable. We finished ahead of Sergio Perez here as well. Sergio Perez got just 2 points this round of the championship. So with 5 rounds of the championship to go, 20, 21, 2, 3 and 4, we could maybe catch Sergio Perez. So maybe a top 7 or 8 is definitely on the cards. Sainz we're not going to catch because he's finishing well ahead of us everywhere. Russell's not doing great at the minute either. He could be catchable, but we'd really have to make the most of every round of the championship, I think, to do that. But there is the potential to finish considerably higher. Carlos Sainz is going to win that rivalry, though there's not really much I can do about that. And I'm currently drawing my rating rivalry with Yuki now, having gone up to 82 rated with that round of the championship. My recognition has gone back down from 37 to 36 with Charles now, unfortunately, after that round of the championship. I'm doing what I can, but it's not good enough at the moment for our lofty goals and Ferrari's lofty goals. I still don't know whether I'll break contract or not. I still don't know whether I'll look to move or do the next season at Ferrari. The energy store reliability testing has passed, which is good news, but we're not going to get any more resource points or any more opportunities to improve the car between now and that Mexico round. 24 days for that, 18 days for that. We've unlocked another front down. We are able to upgrade the aero at the minute. Still waiting to have the powertrain regulation changes enacted. So maybe we should hold off slightly on some more aero upgrades until we get the all clear for the upgrades for regulation changes, because we want to make sure that we maximise our engine for next year. Our powertrain is the one good thing about this car at the minute. Rain in the race, but only right at the end. Hopefully, as was the case last year, I think, it only rains enough for us to be careful on dry tyres and not enough for us to worry about it in terms of the full Grand Prix. You can see that we're very comfortable. We will keep our seat at Ferrari if we want it. It's a case of, do we still want it? I will probably put it to a vote for you guys at the end of the season, I would imagine. And you will decide whether we do or don't stay at Ferrari. I can't put any more of those gearboxes in, so we will take a fresh gearbox this weekend, but we won't take a penalty for it because we've got one available. So the energy store and the controller electronics will have to take brand new unallocated parts for and take grid pens. So qualifying, even if it goes well, will not go well for us. But Mexico's a Grand Prix circuit I feel like I can make the most of regardless. In Mexico last year, we finished 14th. Vegas, we finished 5th. So I think I want to maximise Vegas with no grid pens, and we'll do what we can in Mexico with grid pens. That's all for me for today, though. Thank you very much for watching. Do drop the video a like if you've enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any more. Come and follow me on stream, and you can see every lap of every session and hear me whinge. Or at least give me maybe some constructive feedback so that I can improve and I whinge less. That would be very valuable if you can. Links in the description to Twitch and to the other YouTube streaming channel where you can come and join me there. Of course, check out the main channel for FC content. But for now, that's all from me for today for this series. Big deep breath. I'll see you in Mexico.